Hello everyone, my name is Roy Cornwall. It's the 5th of September at 5:40 in the afternoon, 2023. Um, I have something that I've sort of been overlooked. It wasn't intentionally, but I've overlooked it and I want to correct that here today. I want to talk to you about dying and going to heaven. Now I've had it told to me that dying and going to heaven is a personal thing. In other words, it changes for everybody who dies, has a different encounter. But I think it is the same encounter, but different words from the Lord okay, uh, when you die, the Holy Ghost takes you to heaven. And when you get to heaven, Jesus Christ is waiting there, and they're going to decide what happens from there on with you. But before Jesus Christ comes, you're, uh, you see, when Adam bit into that apple, the Lord gave us the ability to choose for ourselves, and that's fine. But we should be choosing to follow the Lord's directive and talk to Him for the best answer. If we choose yes or no, chances, pretty good chance that's probably not the answer, because that's pretty basic left, yes or no, when there's a whole slew of other answers available, and the Lord knows those. So when you pray, listen to the Lord. Now, okay, so when I died, uh, it all went black for about 3 seconds, and then after that, I woke up and I was in a white area. Right? Now, some people say they go down a long tunnel to get there, but they had their eyes open when they died, and they could see the white light a long distance away, and it was just a little dot. And as they got closer to it, it got bigger, bigger, bigger until it filled their eyes. And I think this is what's happening with most people who say they go down a tunnel, right? But um, this is very important, what I'm going to tell you here. Because we have the ability to choose, and the Holy Ghost is going to allow us to choose whatever we want. Sometimes we choose smoking cigarettes, and the Holy Ghost doesn't like that. Sometimes we got a foul mouth. The Holy Ghost doesn't like that. But He allows you to have that. Holy Ghost is that little voice in the back of your head that keeps you from danger. He's the one that says, don't pick that up, it's hot. Watch it, this is slippery, just before you fall. When you walk up to a cliff and you're looking over it, and you start getting scared because you're so high, that's the Holy Ghost telling you, back away from that cliff. He's telling you in the form of fear. But He's in charge of that. So, when you get to heaven, and before you see Jesus Christ, the devil will take a run at you. He'll take a run at you. They'll try to get you before Jesus comes. What they do is they ask you, or they show you something to get you to go their way, to leave your Holy Ghost behind and go their way. And for me, it was because one of them was screaming at the other three. That caught my attention right away. I'm not going anywhere with that guy, right? So then I got back into my body, and that's when Jesus came. See, so the warning is this: when you get to heaven, before you see Jesus Christ, know that you're still having the ability of choosing left, right, up, or down, the devil or God. Right? You make that choice right there, and you're going to be in trouble if you choose the wrong one. Right? So, and they'll try and trick you. If you're a smoker for 50 years here on earth, they'll offer you a cigarette, and you start talking to you, the next thing you know, you're in hell. That's how that works. So, or a drinker or whatever, well, he has his ways. So I guess the best advice is just if you're not sure, because they look almost like angels. They glow because they're in that realm. They glow. This isn't heaven I'm talking about. This is before you get into heaven. It's an area somewhere where Jesus comes and they decide what to do with you. You're either going to hell or you're going to heaven or you're going back on earth. For me, I went back on earth. They don't let murderers and rapists into heaven. You're not going to heaven if you're doing that. You're going to hell. And that's where this is decided. When you get to Jesus in heaven, he decides right then and there what he's going to do with it. And he gave me, he he knew I wanted to go back for starters, but he also knew he had to send me back to achieve something. And when I first saw Jesus Christ, I got a download from him. It's like one picture's worth 1,000 words, and then maybe with a little bit more in there, something like that. So he says that the Holy Ghost is there. I can see the Holy Ghost, and Jesus talking to the Holy Ghost right in front of me. Jesus said, "Don't take him now." The Holy Ghost said, "But he's going to be in a lot of pain. Look at him. Now he's had blood coming out everywhere. Like you squeeze a sponge and the blood comes out. The same thing with me. I was had blood coming out everywhere." Jesus' answer was, he doesn't care. And I don't care what I got to go through physically to achieve the Lord's work. I don't. I don't fear death. I'm in a good place here because of the Lord. The Lord's taking care of me. He always takes care of me. I don't go and do anything foolish and say, "Lord, can you help me?" No, I try to stay out of trouble. But when trouble hits, He's there for you. Now, that's the first message is be careful there. For me, my Holy Ghost was standing on my left, and these people were on the right trying to take me and entice me to go that way. Trying to actually make me think they're angels. But they weren't. So, I guess the best advice, like I was going to try and say before, is wait for Jesus to come. Keep saying to yourself, I'm a child of God. And wait for Jesus, because he's going to come there anyways. And I'll just say that the last time when Jesus came for me, those devils, they left. Like the Starship Enterprise, they just warped away. Right? They couldn't even stay in the same vicinity as Jesus. When I saw Jesus, I gasped. Because up until that point, I did not believe in religion. I made fun of people who follow that. True. But the Lord has his way of getting through to you. I'm not saying the Lord dropped a tree on me, but he used that avenue after it was done to see me, to save me physically. He saved me physically and also mentally. Now, one thing I just want to say on that day. When I woke up that morning of that day, I could bench press 320 pounds 10 times. I was 6 foot tall, a blue-eyed blonde, and I had a really good physique. I had 2 jobs. I played 3 games of ice hockey a week, right? And I lived in this small home, and that's where this tree fell on me. So I woke up one morning being the old Roy. And when I went to bed that night, in the hospital, because from there on, I could never play hockey again. I could never think the way I used to. I couldn't work. I lost my job. I had to find another way of work. I was a totally different person by the end of that. Now I believe in God, and before I didn't. Even my thoughts were different. The old Roy stopped existing on that date, and this Roy sort of took over. Believing in the Lord, just trying to go through this life without doing any harm. So it's very important. Don't get tricked in up there in the waiting room, I call it. It's where they decide what they're going to do with you. And they don't do that right in heaven, where all the other good souls are. They don't do that. They keep this away from them, right? So um, that'll keep you from going to hell by mistake. If you want to go to hell, well, there's your avenue, right? It's up to you. But if you don't want to go to hell, stay right beside your Holy Ghost and wait for Jesus. And say that. Um, uh, it's dying is not painful. It's not painful at all. When you're born, it's not painful to you. It's only after they smack you on the butt do you start crying, right? So that doorway from life to no life, it doesn't cause you any pain going through there. Everything leading up to death, yeah, it causes you a lot of very pain and suffering. But the actual death part, that's why people hope for death, because they know it doesn't hurt, and this is all over with, right? So, all right, I just wanted to say that. I think that's pretty important, because let's face it, the devil will try and trick you, and because you still have the ability to choose up there in the waiting room, you still have that ability. You're not under anybody else's control. I was still Roy Cornwall, and you'll still be who you are there, which means you have the ability to choose. Don't choose wrong. Matter of fact, and if you don't know, don't choose at all. Wait for Jesus. Bye, everyone. Blessings. Bye bye.